Hello, manic.mercurian here, and in this video I'm going to do a tarot reading for my friend. This is kind of like a part two because I just had a video drop. I think I'm gonna have the first video with the solar return and astrocartography deep dive reading. That video I think I'm gonna have drop at 12 o'clock, July 20th, 2022, and then this video that you're watching slash listening to now, I think I'm gonna have that drop at 12:01 a.m. So this is like a part two. We're going to do a tarot reading and we're going to look at how my friend's year will be. So, yeah, just kind of what's the story? Let's get some like context going of the story. Now, yes, I do tarot readings. Not necessarily for pay right now. It's not that I'm not open to it. It could be a possibility in the future. I'm not currently doing them. Tarot is not my expertise. I do love tarot. I love receiving tarot readings. I love giving tarot readings. It's not my expertise in the same way that astrology is, but yeah, it is a thing that I do. So I'm going to begin shuffling because as I sat down to do this, I realized I really feel like shuffling is a part of the reading. So I haven't shuffled yet. I'm about to do that. I've lit some dragon blood incense. And to my friend, happy birthday. I'm curious to see how this will go. I hope it's only good things for you here. So, all right, I'm shuffling now. And I know this is kind of awkward because it creates a pause, but I really just feel like shuffling is a part of the reading. I don't know why. Like I really felt like it was important for me to record. So, see what will this year bring? What's going to kind of go on here? What's going to happen? For this reading, by the way, I'm going to do a Celtic cross. It's just a version. I know there's different versions of the Celtic cross. It's just a version that I found, when I was learning tarot years ago. It was one kind of adaptation of the Celtic cross that I had found, and then I've actually just recently made some changes to it, and I feel like I need to stop shuffling now, so I'm going to lay out the cards. And I'm going to try to actually avoid, there's different ways of reading the cards. I want to avoid listing off what the cards are and instead just focus on the meaning. Just because I don't want to get lost in, I don't know, explaining my interpretation. Alright, so I have the cards laid out. I'm also going to roll my dice. You may be familiar with these or not, but it's basically one has a planet, one has an astrological sign, and then one has a number. So I will say what dice I got. I got Scorpio, 9, and Uranus. I feel like that's kind of an exciting mix, but for more context, I want to see what the tarot cards say. I always kind of do that. I roll the dice first, but I want more context first. So let's see what's kind of going on here. Okay, so for you, I see you, or the cards see you as very much enjoying the fruits of your labor this year. It looks like you've worked really hard. Maybe you still are working hard this year, but you're beginning to really enjoy the success that has come with that hard work. So that's really positive. There is a sort of development though. So there, at the same time that you're kind of enjoying the fruits of your labor this year, excuse me, I'm adjusting myself. It also shows some discord this year as well. And let's flip over some more cards because I want more context. Okay. Wow, it's kind of a mix going on here. So, at the kind of bottom of all of this is immense change. So, it shows that you're within this kind of long-term period of intense change. So, I think that is implying that it's not just talking about this year. You're in a phase of like a multiple year long phase where your whole life is kind of changing. And again, I want to stress that it's not like this specific year everything is changing for you necessarily. It's more just that this is kind of like the background This is like the setting of the year. This is, you're in a general time of change. You've come from a place where not too long ago, it's almost like you had an epiphany or something just kind of came to you, like a whole different way of being, a whole different way to live your life, kind of just popped into your head out of nowhere. Um, I think this has been really advantageous, and I'd like to point out that one, two, three, four, five, six. So far, I've flipped over six cards, and they are all upright. So to me, this kind of goes along with this card that I was just reading off of. So like, you are very much like active, and you're going forward. Like things are very direct now. Like if it was planets and astrology we were talking about, everything would be direct, not retrograde. So you're very much going forward, and the reason why I brought that up is because I think that's part of something that happened in your past. So maybe before this current year that we're talking about, that starts with your birthday, the kind of setup for this is that realization, or you waking up on some level. Like you just there was a shift within you, and that's what's created. Well, that along with the climate of intense change surrounding you, those have basically created this environment of moving forward, moving direct. You're very much making progress now, I guess, and I think this is exciting. Particularly, of course, there's a car alarm outside. Let me close my windows. Particularly, like financially and with your work, I'm really seeing that you're experiencing success this year, but also even more so in the future, beyond this year. Um, you're really entering a phase, and I want to say it's successful financially, not just in the sense that, maybe you're making a lot of money and, your accounts are looking good, all that. It's not just about that. It's about the relationship you have to your work, your work life balance. You're not just working hard, but it's in a very stable, healthy way. You're really enjoying yourself. Um, I want to say financially, but I feel like there's a better word for that. Like you have a truly really healthy balance with your work, with your money, etc. And that's only going to grow more. You're going to really start feeling it this year, but it's going to grow even more so after this year. Okay, that's pretty inspiring so far. I feel like pretty uplifting. Um, wow. Okay, interesting. So you want to. This may sound strange, but I think judging off the cards, you have a very deeply optimistic spirit, or maybe you want this optimistic spirit. It's like you have this yeah, I think you have this like vision of really leading your life dramatically, positive way. Like you almost have like this inspiration, or maybe it's like a grounded inspiration of, really making your life something positive. Um and it's interesting because I really don't see this happening in like a dramatic way. I don't think you're going to dramatically change your life this year. It just seems like a more stable, like steady process of building yourself up, building up your life. Putting in like it looks like you've been disciplined, you've been working hard, but you're also optimistic. You don't like you seem very balanced off the cards, and you it's hard to read that card. I might come back to it, but you have this like positive, inspiration. You have very positive, inspired intentions with your year. Ultimately, the best approach that you should have this year would be to invest in yourself, and maybe to start a new project. And what's interesting is I keep getting the Pentacles. This is the third. I'm not gonna go into detail about like which cards are what, but this is the third Pentacles card I've gotten. So I feel like there's really a focus on work and creativity, productivity. But this in particular is showing that you the advice or, the best kind of attitude you could have this year would be to invest in yourself. Um, I could go so many different directions with this card. So like invest in yourself, put, not only taking care of yourself, self-care, it looks like you're kind of set up to do that anyway. I don't think you're far from doing that. But invest in yourself. Maybe when it's appropriate or responsible, you can spend money on yourself. Going back to that work-life balance that has already been brought up in this reading, but also a slightly different interpretation of this card could also be to start a new venture, a new means, a new I don't want to say like a new job, but a new project or a new, you know, something that maybe you could make money off of, but it would be something very much like that you internally desire. So I'm almost thinking, I guess I'm kind of rationalizing it, but I'm almost thinking it could be like a little like side hustle, a side project, and it doesn't have to be profitable. That's what I kind of want to say. Like it could be about a new way of making money, but it doesn't necessarily have to be profitable. It could just be a new project you can work on, um, a new, yeah, either. I think both interpretations are true. Investing in yourself this year is the best thing to do, and again, looks like you're going to do that anyway, so you're on track for that. But also, I think this is suggesting maybe start a new pastime, new project, new hobby, new job. And I just want to be very careful in what I'm saying. I don't think this is saying you're going to start a whole new like career. I just don't get that feeling. I don't The only intense change here is in like the background, like you're in the midst of this long-term change that I talked about earlier. But other than that, like as pertaining specifically to this year, I don't see a lot of dramatic change. I don't see you like making a dramatic job change. So the way I take this is just like, maybe a side hustle, side project, that type of thing. Okay, and then kind of moving forward, let me kind of flip over some cards here. My curiosity's getting to me. Okay, so your environment does look maybe a little bit chaotic, but let me see here. I think you will be in some new environments this year. I know that's so vague. Let me get more specific here. Or maybe you're taking a new approach to your environment. I think maybe you'll be in more intellectual environments, or you'll cultivate a new intellectual curiosity in yourself. So you'll be applying that to your environment though. So like branching out to maybe people or places that an intellectual curiosity has driven you toward. Maybe you want to learn. You want to learn something. So you're in places you can learn or talking to people you can learn from. Um, and wow, okay, more pentacles. What you really, really, truly want this year is peace, stability. It's all about that work life balance. You know, you want to be, making good money, but more importantly, having a healthy relationship to that money. You want to enjoy the fruits of your labor, and a part of this is repetitive, but it's so interesting. I keep getting pentacles. So, it's all about that work life balance. It's all about being responsible, investing in the future, but also, enjoying yourself in the process, enjoying the productivity. Working, you work hard, play hard, working, enjoying the work, doing something for work that you're at peace with, investing in yourself, enjoying yourself, treating yourself when it's appropriate, and, ultimately creating this environment that is, it's hard for me to find the words for, but it's like a really truly healthy environment, of an environment that's nourishing. Like, um, that's that's what you really want. What's interesting is that this almost suggests that you may fear this though. Like you may fear, I don't want to say the end game, but it's like this feeling of ultimate security and serenity. And this may sound strange, but you definitely want that, but it's almost like part of you is afraid of actually achieving it. I think sometimes we can get stuck, or we can get accustomed to the process of the hard work and kind of like the struggle that comes with it, and so it can almost feel maybe alien or unnatural once we get to a place that is much more comfortable, maybe. I think that's what this is describing. So I don't know if you relate to that, to be honest, but that's how I see it though. That's I feel like what the cards are trying to say. Um, and what's really, really interesting is this is all bringing you to a place where I'm getting chills now. Like you're on the verge of something very, very big. Um, and I don't, like I said, like this year, judging off of not only this, I've done so many readings today. Judging not only off this tarot reading, but also looking at the, for instance, the solar return reading I did for you, which I'll link that in the description. But both of these indicate to me that this year looks very stable for you, but also there's like positive changes. Like you're growing in a very like healthy pace this year. I think that's a really good way to put it, which is really really cool. I want to just like expand on that for a moment. So you're not in a rut. You're not doing the same thing every day all year this year, but you're also not dramatically changing everything. It's just like slow, steady, constant kind of, mostly productive changes that you're making. That's what I see for this year. However, what's interesting is there is dramatic change surrounding this year. So this year is in, I already said this, but this year is one small part of a larger phase that is dramatically changing your life. So a multiple year long phase that's changing your life. And I think part of that is that what I'm kind of trying to explain with all this is that ultimately where you're going is going to be very interesting. It looks like after this year, you're gonna start an entirely new phase where intellectually and emotionally, it's almost like you're kind of resetting and starting from zero. You are, and it's not, and I want to be clear, you're not gonna lose, that everything, like, you're starting from zero more on a like, um, attitude scale. You're you're cleaning off the slate and like beginning things fresh, and you're going to be extremely open to like new ideas, new people, new things to do. It's almost like, you know you are about to reach this point where, um with a lot of things, like you've become extremely aware of how much you don't know in the world, and this can be liberating because it allows you to experience all options. So when I say that you're reaching a point of resetting, that's very different from in terms of your productivity, your savings and all that. Like in the background, you're very much saving, and um you're honing your craft, you're mastering your craft, you're getting better at what you do for a living. You're maybe starting a new project. All of that you're going to continue to build, and I just want to be very, very, very explicitly clear. It's not that you're going to reset with any of that. All that is steadily building in the background. And I think ultimately that healthy work life balance, and, you getting better at what you do and just continuing to improve and continuing to create this really positive, stable environment, that is ultimately what is leading to the circumstances that will result in you liberating yourself basically and becoming free to explore. So it's almost like Getting even deeper with this reading now that all the cards have been kind of exposed, I think this is part of your soul growth. It's part of your journey. I think for you, and of course there are many other themes, in your life, just like everyone. But I think for you, this is kind of how you want to do it on a soul level. First, you want to master your relationship to physicality. So you want to know that you can provide for yourself. You want to know that um, you have secure living situations and a secure work situation. You've taken on that challenge first. You want to get the hard stuff out of the way, kind of in terms of money, being responsible, all this like mundane stuff. You want to take care of that first, and then once that is really, really, truly stable, and you've got your savings and you've got this job that you feel really secure and comfortable with, that you're good at, and once you have that just like pristine relationship to the physical world and to finances and all that, then that's where it will unlock this new chapter for you, where you can continue all that, continue this great work ethic, continue all those really good habits that you've developed, but also incorporate this totally open, adventurous spirit where you'll become much more open to the world, is what I'm saying. And these words don't even really describe like what I'm feeling and what I want to convey, I feel like. But yeah, this looks very inspirational. And um, so this is a gradual process of, um, it's a very gradual, multiple year long transitional process that is, I was gonna say bringing you, but really you're doing it. You're the one doing this. You're bringing yourself to this point of, I don't want to say maturity necessarily, but like the next level, the next step for yourself in your life, and ultimately that's kind of your goal. I don't know, and I'm not saying you're necessarily like consciously aware of all this, but um this is the subconscious. I just realized Jasmine, who gave me a reading in the past, she said, the cards see your subconscious. And I'm realizing that's true because I think your goal is this kind of inspiration and this new openness, this new creating an entirely like new, well, creating a very stable environment for yourself that then that will open up this whole new world. I think that's your intention, not necessarily on a conscious level, although maybe it will seep into your conscious. Maybe it is seeping into your consciousness a little bit. But I think especially on a subconscious level, that's really your intention here. So that's exactly what you're doing. So going back to the dice, Scorpio, 9, and Uranus, I feel like that's kind of perfect, because Scorpio is a good sign for describing this kind of slow and steady, ambitious approach that you have. Like Scorpios are known for their ability to climb, corporate ladders in a very like steady and kind of slow, but also very fast pace. So I feel like that's that can kind of describe what you're doing. You have this like very steady approach. Um, Scorpio is also a sign to represent transition or change. But Scorpio is kind of like steady change. It's a fixed sign. So I feel like that's a good representation for this phase that you're going through. Also, I feel like Scorpio kind of represents this that long term phase that I keep talking about. Um, and it's kind of funny too because just to give it away, so the foundation card is death. So that's where I was saying that the foundation of all of this is a long-term change, because to me death is really just change. And then what better way to kind of picture that, other than the Scorpio sign. Scorpio, slow and steady growth, but also change, and sometimes death is also associated with Scorpio. So I feel like that's, to me, this isn't literal death. It's change, steady, constant change, ultimately transformation. This is a gradual process of you transforming yourself. I also got Uranus, and this is where you're leading yourself to. Uranus, has to do with groundbreaking, sudden changes. And Uranus also has to do with things that are stable for a long time and then suddenly dramatically change. So I feel like this is a good kind of representation for this phase that you're going through also, because you're very, very stable through all this. I feel like you've mastered stability, really. You're in the process of like continuing to master it even more. But that mastering stability is necessary to get you to a point where you're open to all possibilities. And Uranus also has to do with, awakenings and enlightenment, things of that nature. So yeah, it's almost like it's this period of long-term stability that will bring you to a place where things can be more unpredictable. So to me, I feel like the Uranian connection works very well. And then nine, number nine, in astrology, the ninth house has to do with higher consciousness, being philosophical, asking the bigger questions. Number nine in numerology it's been described as the highest number, the one closest to God. It has to do with spirituality. So I think that's the maybe that's the ultimate goal or outcome for all of us. But especially for you in this year, um, maybe it's subtle at times, but I feel like this all is about spirituality. Like, and that's your intention. That's what you want. Um, and I'm not saying this because I know you. I'm saying this because I got the star upright card for your main goal. Um, so I think this is what you want. I think really, really deep down, this is actually the point of all this, of you mastering this relationship with your, work ethic and all that. Yes, it's about work, and yes, it's about money and security and responsibility and all that. But beneath that, this is part of your spiritual process. I think this is part of your spiritual awakening. It's like, you have to, I think we all have to master our physical reality before we can open up spiritually, but especially you. This is showing that this is a really, really big part of your spiritual awakening process, and especially, again, this is all about this year. This is what this year is about. Um, you really mastering this, like you're almost there, and I think you're like reaching a kind of graduation this year, and maybe late this year, like approaching your next birthday in 2023, or maybe just afterward, that's where you'll begin to really enter this kind of new phase of ultimate like openness and kind of awakening on a new level. And before I end this, I just want to come back to one thing I left off of and I intended to come back to it. So the only thing that's interesting is that to me, this looks very, very stable, but at the same time, there's this little hint of you may come across people this year that are challenging you or pushing you, trying to push your buttons. Maybe people that are aggressive, maybe people whose conflict or what's the word? Whose interests don't align with yours. So there's conflict there, power struggles, there's like this scattered kind of aggressive or fighting energy, and this is really interesting because if you remember from the solar return reading, moon was near Mars, and so I said that you could have like frustration or aggression. um I feel like that also connects to Scorpio is ruled by Mars, which has to do with conflict. So there is some conflict in your year. I don't think this is really serious. It doesn't That's not what this year is about. It's not at the core of what you're experiencing this year. This is like some background noise. And I don't want to invalidate it. Everything's relevant, everything we can learn from, everything's important on some level. So I don't want to invalidate it. I just want to say that this is not the most important thing, I don't think. Um, I wouldn't be like too intimidated by this. You yourself are very stable. It almost makes me think of the sign of Capricorn or like Taurus. I feel like you are like a Capricorn or a Taurus. And I'm not like, that's not in the dice. It's not really in the cards other than Pentacles, which have to do with Earth. I guess that's where I'm drawing this from. You are like an Earth sign this year. So I just want to make it clear like, maybe people around you are being, what's the word? Like snarky or, um, I'm forgetting the word, but wanting like you know, being competitive or, you know, whatever that being insecure, pe- you may come across that this year, but you have such a even keel aura about you and a way of operating. Um, it's like I'm picturing I don't remember what they're called, but those ships that are like meant for going in the very far north or very far south where they, you know, their hull can like penetrate through the ice. It's like there's all these like, you know, chaotic glaciers and ice and like around you trying to bother you, but you're just this huge ship just like cruising along, plowing through it, if you will, like being totally unbothered. That's kind of how I see it, honestly. So like maybe, you know, could that be kind of annoying for you at times? I would probably expect it to be, but at the same time, I don't think this would dramatically sway you or influence you. This reading is overwhelmingly positive. It doesn't, and it's very, and again, it's there's this theme of stability, um, you know, and honing your craft in it. So maybe some chaos, maybe some people being how they are, but nothing to worry about at all. Okay, that was actually pretty cool. I really got into that. So let me know what you think. And for everyone else watching too, I'd be interested in letting you know, let me know what you think as well, because I've never done this before. I've never done a tarot reading in a video like this or in a recording. So yeah, happy birthday again. Very cool. I'm like pumped now. That was a good reading. It looks like a really great year. So anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up, but I'll talk to you later, and happy birthday.